Hey, I'm Steve, and we are starting this episode of the podcast, and we're going to talk about what's happening in Ukraine. And so I brought in one of my friends to talk about that today, Luliia Richards. And so I used to call you Julia, kind of like with a J, but how do I actually pronounce your first name?
It is Luliia.
Luliia.
Yes. I did come to the United States introducing myself as Julia for other people to, the easier way to pronounce it, but it is Luliia. Yes.
Okay, great. And so you were trying to make it easy for someone like me.
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, so you grew up, were you born and raised in Ukraine?
Yes.
So can you just tell us where you were born and what growing up was like for you? What was that like for you growing up?
Okay. Yeah, I grew up in Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, and it is a beautiful city. Absolutely beautiful. I miss it deeply. It was great. I mean, I had good childhood. We didn't have much, but we were happy with what we had. And sure.
When you say the city was beautiful, tell me a little bit more about that. Like I picture Kyiv with old historic buildings and parks and things like that.
It's very green, and especially in May, it's got is it a chestnut trees that are like blooming everywhere. It's the Kiev's kind of like visit card, if you say so. Like everybody knew it's blooming in Kiev in May. It was good. I don't know.
Okay.
It is a big city. It is a big city, and the last time I went there, like about 6 years ago, it even got even better. Like it was a lot of like new buildings and very like modernized, and it's just we tried to see so much, and at that time that we stayed, and it was just not enough time. It was not enough time. Yes, you can walk streets and still be wondering. And
so I've met your mother maybe a couple times. She's come here to the States. And what did your parents do for a living when you were growing up? What did they do?
Yeah, my mom worked the whole time, her whole time in the bank, and my dad was just kind of doing from job to job, just finding ways to support the family. So yeah.
Did you have siblings?
Yes,
tell me about that.
I have my sister, Anya. She's still in Ukraine, and she's now has her own little family, her husband and her little son, who's 3 now.
Mm-hmm. So you have one sister?
Yes.
Okay. And where does your sister live?
So they live just outside of Kiev, but now they had to move to Chernivtsi because of the invasion.
Okay. So you just pronounced the city Kiev. What's the right? I hear people pronounce it Kyiv or Kiev. Which is correct? It
is Kiev, but Kiev is what it is, the Ukrainian way to pronounce it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There are 2 different spellings, but it's the same city.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell me about how you became a Christian. What's your story?
Okay. It all started from my grandma. She's the one who did become a believer, and then my mom. It's just kind of like, the candle that just, touches another candle, so it fires up, and so it goes on and goes on. And so for me and Anya, it was the longest time. My mom would bring us to church, to evangelical church, and we still weren't sure about everything. And it was right after we met some youth and started going to the youth groups, and it was just kind of like a bulb, you know, the light of the bulb, like, because we understood, like, it's not just for old people, it's not the boring stuff, like it's real.
So kind of like a kid in America.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right. Yes.
So you start going to this youth group, is that correct?
Yes. Yes. Okay. We were just in a group, and yeah, we met some good friends there. Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you started going to this youth group?
I was a teenager.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is your sister older or younger than you are?
She's older. She's 3 years older.
Okay.
Yeah.
So both of you start going to the youth group, and
yes.
Is that where you trusted Christ as your Savior?
Yes.
In the youth group?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, tell me about this church you grew up in. What was its name? And you called it an evangelical church.
Yeah.
And so tell me what that church was like.
Yeah, the name of it is Християнська надія. So it's you translate it as like Christian hope is what it's called. It's just evangelical church. It just kind of like ours, you know, or the many others. A lot of older people in Ukraine go to Orthodox church, which has like old traditions, and you would go there like on big holidays, and there's a lot of traditions involved in that, and they still use in like a ancient Slavic language in it, so not a lot of people can understand the speaker, the message, but it's the tradition. Mm-hmm. So unlike the evangelical churches, we praise the living God. So
okay.
Yeah.
So was the church that you grew up in, you spoke Ukrainian in church, is that right?
Yes. So I grew up with 2 languages. Mm-hmm. So it was common for the youth, like in the family, like to speak Russian. But in my school, everything was in Ukrainian, and my college was everything in Ukrainian. So I grew up with 2 languages, and that's how. Yeah.
Okay,
I know.
so you speak Russian too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in Ukraine, we were talking about churches. There's the would it be called the Ukrainian Orthodox Church? Would that be the right way to?
Yes.
And are most people in Ukraine connected to a church, or is there a large Muslim population?
No, there's no Muslim population.
Okay.
At all. I mean, there's some probably. Mm-hmm. There's some like some other
churches.
Yeah, other branches, but yeah, I think the biggest is the Christian evangelical churches. Mm-hmm.
So in the Orthodox Church, you said they speak an ancient Slavic language that nobody understands?
It's hard, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and they still have the Bible written in that language, and it's just yeah.
Okay. Not very effective.
I don't
right?
know a lot about that,
okay.
but yeah.
Okay, so you grew up in Ukraine. You become a believer in this evangelical church, and as you said, I'm loving and serving the living God. And then at one point, you meet this guy named Tyler, and you get married.
Yes.
Tell us how you met Tyler, and just how that all happened.
It was crazy. He was in Ukraine, stationed in Ukraine as a Marine. Mm-hmm. And I was just, the student, and we, I think it was like immediate connection. Like he saw me, and it was just, we started talking. Well, he approached me first, and we just started talking. But then he said, I have to leave in 3 days. But, he invited me on a date. We had dinner together, but he had to leave, go back to United States mm-hmm. to visit his family. His mom had a cancer, and so he had to go visit her. Like, it was his leave. And so, but after 2 weeks, he came back and texted me again, and he's been texting me every day. And it was...
So he comes home to America, and then he goes back to the embassy?
Yes.
Back to Ukraine?
Yes.
Kyiv. Okay.
He had another 7-month to finish his contract.
Okay.
So we dated that time as he was in Ukraine, and then he had to leave forever.
Okay.
And so we had another about 8 months where we were just on the phone, and he came to Ukraine for Christmas and proposed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you say yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yes.
So you guys get married. Did you get married in Ukraine?
No.
Oh, in the United States?
Yes.
Okay. And what year was that?
2010.
2010. So you've only lived here 12 years.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. And when you came to the United States from Ukraine, what were some of the big differences between living in Ukraine, Kyiv, and coming to Oregon? Because that's where Tyler's from. So he came to
Yes.
Oregon. So what were some of those big differences?
It was a big change. It was. My dad, he told me, like, don't just marry just to go to United States because everybody thinks it's great. And I didn't. Like, we were in love, and that's why I came all across. Like, my Ukraine is literally, the longest distance as possible. But the big differences are, I had to learn how to drive. I did not drive for the first, 3-4 years. You don't have to drive in Kiev. Like, the transport is so great, and
public transportation was good.
Yes,
right.
Yes. You're probably gonna get faster if you take that, or you'd be stuck in the traffic jam. The food was a little bit different. We don't have peanut butter. It's just one of the big things that I remember. Like, what is this? And it's, it was I was homesick. I was. It was that time Alina was born, shortly after, after the first year of our marriage, and Tyler had to leave for his training for the new job, he got. So I was just very homesick. It's true. Yeah.
Okay.
But just missing everything. You miss people. You miss your friends, your language. Like, everything is in English, and you have to adjust to that in your mind.
Did you speak English before you came to the United States?
I did study it in school. You start in elementary school, and you just study it, and I had it in college all the way. It's great that Ukrainians, they know now English is kind of, you have to know, and then the kids now pick up a second language. So it's just wonderful. So I did grow up studying English. Yeah.
Okay. So let's switch gears and talk about what's happening in Ukraine now. And let's start with your parents and your family members. What's happening to them?
Yes. So my mom and my grandparents, they stay in a small village about 2 hours away from Kiev.
Okay.
But they are at my grandma's place. They're surviving. They're praying every day. They hear, the emergency alarm every night, and they just stay there. I asked them, are you able to go, like, under the ground? Like, the old houses, especially in the village, in Ukraine have like underground,
bomb shelters, or
they're like a
cellars?
small basement.
Okay.
Like a basement where you would keep produce, because all those, like, many of the houses in the small villages, they didn't used to have fridges, so that was their way to keep the produce. So many houses still has that in the village. And so I was like, are you able to go there? And Mom was like, well, no, like, Grandpa and Grandma, they can't use that ladder anymore. It's hard for them to go there. So this was just kind of there. She's not leaving them. they can't. They don't want to leave. They really don't want to leave. They say this is their land and there's nowhere to go for them. My dad, he's in Kiev. He tries to help. He enrolled to help. I don't know. He never told me if they gave him a gun or like he's not in the front line, but he's just helping as much as he can. He was this morning. He called me up and he was crying. He said he was frying some meat, and he was saying, I want to bring it to the soldiers. And he said, you need to tell, I mean, everybody sees it now that we're so united. He said, what I see around is just, people are not scared anymore. They're not scared. Everybody's in this together. He's like, what I see is the youth like dragging the sandbags to make the barricades, the women making Molotov cocktails, like they're all in this together. They're making food. Everybody is bringing what they can to support the army, to support those who are underground in the cold, like all the children. They can't access their homes.
So you told me that instead of being afraid, people are being united.
Yes.
Did you say that?
Yes.
And everybody's joining in to defend themselves.
Yes.
Everybody, men, women, everybody's involved.
Who can. A lot of people left, when it all started, but a lot of just stayed, and he's like, I'm not leaving.
That's what your dad said?
My dad was said, yes, I'm not leaving. This is my home. This is my land. So. Did
your parents live in a house or an apartment?
It was an apartment building. Yeah, my dad still lives in an apartment building.
Has that apartment building been bombed or hit with?
It was not.
Okay.
No.
How do you so you can still?
But he did show me that he had like some tile on the ceiling, and that all came off. It all broke off, and it's just people's apartments are a mess.
Okay.
Because the bombing is so powerful, it affects.
It shakes all.
It shakes everything.
How? So he's still living in the apartment, but your mom's taking care of your grandparents, basically, in a small village.
He has his own place. Yeah, my parents are separated.
Okay. How do you communicate? Obviously, you have self-service, so you can still communicate, right? Cell phones still work?
Yes. So I think they did bomb the TV tower or some towers. But I think, is it Elon Musk who actually provided the satellite?
Elon Musk?
Yes.
Oh.
And so Ukraine has internet.
Okay.
Isn't it crazy?
That is crazy, isn't it?
Yes. And I'm so thankful. Yes, I can still call them and talk to them. And when I just can't keep calm, I call my mom and we pray. We pray together. And she says, we're good. We're fine. So they're praying and fighting the evil forces, through the prayer.
Okay. How old's your dad?
He is 60. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so
59.
He's my age exactly.
Yes. Okay.
So and he's going to stay and defend.
Yes. He said, I'm not leaving. So.
Do you wish he would leave, or do you? Yeah. What do you?
He has his mom, so my granny, and she cannot walk. Like, I wish she would be able to, not escape, but leave and be safe. There was no time to bring her to my mom's. So everything just happened so quick, and everybody was shocked, and nobody knew what to do. So
is he able to travel around the city, or is public transportation non-existent right now?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that. He has his car, so but I don't think they go far. They just protect where they at, protect and supply what they can to the people who are fighting there in their like local area.
Okay. I ask you a political question.
Yes.
What did you think of President Zelensky in Ukraine?
I'm impressed. Yes, I'm impressed. Everybody was making fun of him because he's a comedian. That's his career as a comedian, and he, from making jokes about the corrupt politics and in Ukraine, he became just representing what Ukraine, all the people of Ukraine think. And so that made him very popular. And I am very impressed. He's a good leader. And people were, he did say, like, I'm one of you guys. And we see that now. Like, everybody expected him to leave, like, the first day or two after the invasion happened. And no, he's there.
Okay. So one of the things I wanted to ask you is that it seems like in Ukraine, and maybe you're not old enough, that when it was under the heavy-handed Russian government under the Soviet Union before it broke up,
Yes.
Do people your dad's age, I'm guessing, remember that, and they don't want anything to do with that again? Am I close to being accurate?
Yes. Right now, and actually since the time that I left Ukraine, there were so many changes. We had a pro-Russian president, and that was taken down by the protest of the people. They did not want to be part of Russia. They don't want to be under Russia. And Ukraine is its own country with its own language, traditions, food, culture, and they do not want any more of the, Kreml or Putin dictating how is it going to be in Ukraine. So some of the people in the eastern border had the beliefs that it would be better with Russia. This is why we have, what do we have? The LNR and DNR, the two regions, self-proclaiming themselves independent, which they cannot be independent.
And this is the region on the eastern side.
Border.
Okay, I understand.
Yes.
Was Crimea one of those two, that heavy Russian influence?
I think Crimea was the ultimate goal for Putin, so he made everything for that to happen as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Before the invasion, did you think it was going to happen, or were you hopeful that it wouldn't?
Nobody believed it. I did not believe this is going to happen as much as it did, like brutally, just out of nowhere. Because invasion happened like at night, at 5 a.m, and nobody knew what's happening, and nobody believed in Russia this is going to happen either, because we were the two nations who fought hand in hand against fascism, and now they're doing this to Ukrainians.
I hear news reports that the Russian army is like bombing indiscriminately civilians. Do you think that's correct?
They are bombing civilian buildings, hospitals, daycares. The other day, 16 kids died because of the bombing.
Of a daycare or a school?
Yes.
Okay.
And, I don't know if that hit because if that hit the daycare but it was reported there was 16 kids who died. And, but they're doing it from, with the rockets and, the bombs.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
So,
but the people, like in villages, they're not afraid to push back. Like, I'm not sure if you've seen some of the videos, like my dad was saying, like, people go unarmed and try to stop the tanks, try to stop the trucks just by standing in their way, not to let them enter their little, village or town. Mm-hmm. And
they'll just go stand in the street?
They just stand in the street, shout, go home,
mm-hmm.
and
not
let them in.
What happens to them? I don't think it would be
I don't
good.
know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been going on, 6 days now? Or
it's been a week.
A week. So how have you been able to manage your emotions? What's helped you?
Calling my mom and praying.
Okay. Calling mom and praying. And
that's the only, that's the only thing I'm able to do.
Do you watch the news
hard.
or do you try to avoid watching?
I watch the news.
You watch the news, okay.
I watch the news. I watch everything that my dad sends me, mm-hmm. which is very inspiring to showing how people fight for their land.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You cry every day? Probably. I would. But
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's hard.
So is there something we as a church could do or individuals can do to be helpful? Does money needs to be sent right now? Do you know anything about that? Or do you have a suggestion too? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Sure. I am very grateful for everybody who walked out on the streets and in support of Ukraine. I do believe that we're going to win, and I do believe that this moment that just everybody was touched by Ukrainians, how they handle and defend their land, and everybody in the world can see what's really happening. Mm-hmm. So, and everybody helps. There's been so much help already sent, but I will say, pray every day. Pray for peace. Pray mm-hmm. for the Putin's regime to come to an end. People not only in Ukraine need it, people in Russia need it. Mm-hmm. If you are willing to donate any money, I would suggest go to Ukrainian website, like National Bank of Ukraine. It has English page. Everything mm-hmm. is in English. Go to the trusted sources, because there's a lot of scam, mm-hmm. and it's been shared, and people try to get money that way. But donate to Red Cross. Just, those organizations that
mm-hmm. Okay,
are trusted.
So go to the Bank of Ukraine.
National Bank of Ukraine.
National Bank of Ukraine.
And there's the link, I think, to fund, and
trusted sources, mm-hmm. and Red Cross is one of those. So
yes.
Okay, because sometimes we can give to organizations that the money really doesn't, not that helpful, right?
Yes.
So it's good to know from you
mm-hmm.
What that could be. Do you think? I know there's kind of a Ukrainian population here in our community, a small one. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And do you think there might be more people migrate from Ukraine to Eugene in the coming year, or not? Or
I'm not sure.
Not sure yet.
I'm not sure about that. Yes.
Okay.
I believe the people who are staying there and fighting for the land will stay on their land.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
They love, and I I do believe I'm going to see the rebuilt Ukraine, and it's going to be even beautiful than ever before. And I'll get to see it. And
do you remember I had the opportunity to go to Ukraine a year ago to teach at a pastor's conference, and I couldn't go because it was close to, I just couldn't go at that time.
Yes.
And so maybe someday I'll have the opportunity to go to Ukraine
That would be wonderful.
teach a group of evangelical pastors.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Luliia, thank you so much for talking with us today. And I think the people who are listening are going to find great value and inspiration just listening to your story and just hearing more firsthand of what's going on. And we need to pray that, I agree with you, need to pray that the evil would stop, that Putin would be stopped, that Russian invasion would be stopped, and Ukraine would be restored to its sovereignty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me your dad's first name.
Alexander.
Alexander.
Well, it's Alexander. Okay, English way of pronouncing it.
Yeah, English would be good.
Yes.
Alexander. What's your
Yes.
mom's name?
Yeah, Natalia.
Natalia. Oh, Alexander Natalia.
Yeah.
Okay, so I usually don't pray on the podcast, but I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for your parents right now.
Thank
Can
you.
we do that?
Yes.
Okay. Lord, I just thank you that we could talk about this today. I just pray for Alexander, Luliia's dad, that you would just keep him safe. And I pray for Natalia, her mother, that as she takes care, as they both take care of their aging parents, that would go well. I just pray, Father, that the Russian invasion would be stopped. I pray that the Putin regime of Russia would be stopped. And God, we just pray that things would be restored in Ukraine and that the fighting and the violence would stop. Just pray for the protection of people, and we just pray that light and life would win. And we just pray these things in Jesus' powerful name. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Hey, I'm Steve, and that was our podcast on Ukraine. Grace and peace be with you.